everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a book haul. It's been a while. Well, it hasn't really actually been a while since I did my last book haul, but my Goodwill has been very good to me lately, which is great because it's not the most well-stocked Goodwill. Sometimes we don't even have like Twilight at our Goodwill. Like, it is dry sometimes, but this is what I've got in the past few months. Certainly like not in like a weekend or anything. I think it's like about 35-ish books, and I think we should just get into it. I want to start with books in a series, multiple books in a series, because I have a few of those here. I don't know if people in your neighborhood do this, but they do in mine. When people want to get rid of something, they just kind of leave it like in front of their house, but like on the sidewalk, so it's like public property or whatever. And someone left a box full of books on the sidewalk, and they left a copy of A Storm of Swords and A Dance with Dragons by George R.R. Martin. I have yet to continue with the Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire books. I did start reading the first book, and I had to put it down. But I have these now. I do have like the mass market paperbacks because I personally don't mind mass markets. I know people hate them, but they're cheap and you can get a lot and fit them in like a shelf. I really like these covers. I don't know what it is. There's something very like retro about them, and then of course like the covers that we all kind of know. So I got these two. I have a little bit of a Rick Riordan haul here. I have books 3, 4, and 5 in the Trials of Apollo series. This is the one that follows Apollo after he's been punished by Zeus for doing something silly, knowing Apollo. It is the Burning Maze, the Tyrant's Tomb, and the Tower of Nero. I don't have books 1 and 2, but I found these 3 at the Goodwill, so I was like, I'll pick them up. I'll pick up the first 2, and then eventually I'll continue with my Riordan read through. I think I'm on Mark of Athena in the Olympus series. I also ended up picking up books 1, 2, and 3 in Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. This is his Norse mythology inspired series. I have it starts with The Sword of Summer, The Hammer of Thor, and The Ship of the Dead. I think this is a trilogy. He typically writes 5-book series, but I think this one's 3 books, and I love these covers. I think these are some of my favorite ones in the whole Riordan like universe. These 2 books were also in a box on the side of the road. There's a little bit of like weather damage, but it's mostly fine. I have the Dinosaur Princess and the Dinosaur Knights. I remember seeing these books a long time ago, like on some book outlet or whatever, and I always thought they looked cool. It looks like fantasy knights riding dinosaurs or something, and I think that's so sick. However, this is books 2 and 3. It does not include the first one, so I will find a way to get my hands on the first one or borrow it from my library, and I have the books 2 and 3. This is a cover thing. Dinosaur, like, that is so cool to me. So yeah, that's why I picked up. This is like a cover. It wasn't even a purchase because they were on the side of the road. So sorry if my camera shifted just a hair. I had to like move it, but I did pick up some other stuff. We can start with YA. This is the only like YA contemporary I picked up. It's called The Hate List by Jennifer Brown. I've seen a few people talk about this. This book is a hard-hitting contemporary. I wouldn't say like mystery thriller, but I feel like touches on the topics that I love in like YA, like darker mystery thrillers, but this is definitely more contemporary. This is about a young woman whose ex-boyfriend shot up a school, and she's still dealing with like the guilt of it all because she's somewhat implicated in the crime, not because she did anything and she herself was, I think, hurt in the actual event, but she and her boyfriend kind of had it out, I guess, for some people in her school. Or there's like this list that went around of like people that he wanted to hurt, and she kind of also vented to him about people that she doesn't like. I don't know, this whole thing. I'm American. Gun deaths are very very high right now, and they're only getting higher with the decreasing gun safety regulations that we used to have. They are getting kind of stripped away, so this is probably going to be somewhat really relevant whenever I do read it. But I also want to see how it differs, because I think this was published in like 2010-ish, the 2010s, and it's 2023, and gun violence has only gone up, so we'll see how it differs. But I feel like it would really hit home. I picked up Bloodleaf by Crystal Smith. I've never heard of this book, but it looks like a YA fantasy. I'm reading the summary. It sounds kind of like tropey, but we follow a princess who doesn't like want to be the princess, and she has like magic, but it's like cursed magic that like she's not allowed to do, so she flees after like an assassination attempt or something, and she has to find safety with her betrothed who she doesn't like. There's a lot of tropes here, but I picked it up. It's short. I don't know if there's like a sequel or if it's like a standalone. I found this copy also as well. This is Lady Night by Tamora Pierce. This is the 4th book in the Protector of the Small quartet. Tamora Pierce is one of my favorite fantasy authors, full stop. She mostly writes middle grade into YA. A lot of her characters tend to like age up, and the genre or the books feel like they age up with the character. I adore all her books. She started writing in the 80s, and sometimes you can see that, but a lot of times when I read her older stuff, it feels like, I don't know, it still feels really like fresh and unique. I don't know, I love her work. I have a stack of her stuff right here. I don't have books 1, 2, and 3 because I brought them from my library when I first read them, so I will eventually get like a full collection, but this is the one that I found at the Goodwill. Winter Keep by Kristen Kishore. This series was kind of being published when I was a teen, and from what I've heard, they've held up well. This is a sequel to Graceling, I want to say, which I still haven't read, but I do have it on my shelf, so if I enjoy that one, I can move on to this one. Though I think they're more companion novels. I don't know if they actually follow the same main character. I found this like really, the newer cover, it's like not even that badly worn. So I also picked up Ever the Hunted by Erin Summerall. I've seen this cover, and I think they have a sequel also floating around. Something about it always intrigued me. I don't know, I thought the cover design was really cool. But in this, we follow a young woman who works for their father as like a bounty hunter for the king. Her father gets murdered, and apparently it's her father's apprentice slash her best friend slash the boy that she basically loves. So the man she loves allegedly killed her father. I also picked up Echoes and Empires by Morgan Rhodes. Morgan Rhodes wrote one of my favorite like YA like fantasy series. It started off really well, and it was so like soapy and dramatic and a little Game of Thrones ish. It didn't end on the highest note, and I know that the author also tried to write like a sequel series to it, companion series, and it didn't really go well. And this is her next, I want to say her next fantasy series after the fact. I don't know much about it because I wanted to go in kind of blind, but I believe we follow our character who gets wrapped up in some sort of failed heist, magic is illegal type vibes. I thought the cover was cute, but again, I haven't heard the best things about this one either, but I did want to give it a shot because of the author and how successful I've been with her in the past. And then I also picked up Ghosts of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare. This is a collection of short stories from herself and other authors who write in the Shadowhunters world. I am pretty far into the Shadowhunters series. All the Mortal Instruments, I read the Infernal Devices, I read the Magnus Chronicles. I think I'm at the point where I have to read the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I don't remember much, and I really don't want to reread everything. I've always liked the covers, to be honest. I think they're such a slay. But someone at my Goodwill donated 5 of these like older versions of the Nancy Drew books. These are like really small, adorable, and they're kind of like that hard, like printed on the cover type stuff. I don't think it really matters, but books 14, 20, 27, 33, and 55 with the Whispering Statue, the Clue in the Jewel Box, the Secret of the Wooden Lady, the Witch Tree symbol, and the Mystery of Crocodile Island. I haven't read a Nancy Drew in forever, and I know I didn't read all of them. I don't know if you have to read them in order. Also weird, some of these have sprayed edges. But yeah, I've been in a Nancy Drew phase for like the past year or so I love these. These are so cute. I picked up the Queen's Shadow by E.K. Johnson. This is one of the books in the Star Wars canon that is canon. I know there have been older books that have been like retconned, and maybe I'll read those at some point, but I only really want to read the canon ones. I did start, and I have said that I've been wanting to continue. I don't know when I'll continue, but I saw this, so I thought I might as well add it, and I'll get to it when I get to it. I don't know which book this is in the Queen's series. I know E.K. Johnson has written a few of Padme's stories, and I believe this is the end of her reign of Naboo. I have read, what's it called? The one with Count Dooku, the one where like Qui-Gon Jinn and Asajj Ventress like come out, and we're kind of like looking back at his like him being like a Padawan and stuff. That's the last one I've read, And I did start reading the one with Anakin and Obi-Wan, Master and Apprentice, I think. I also picked up If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. I saw this at my Goodwill, and I typically wouldn't buy romance, especially contemporary romance, but since it was at the Goodwill and it was less than $3, I thought, why not? And I think I've heard good things about this one. I believe this is like a Cinderella reimagining, and of course, being Julie Murphy, that there is going to be some plus size representation here. I believe our main character gets cast in some like reality TV show dating, those kinds of like Love Island type situations. I don't know the exact plot. It might be cute. I don't expect to keep it after I finish reading it. I don't have that much of a connection to contemporary romance, but it might be a nice light read to have. I have a few mystery thriller horrors to run through really quickly. I found My Heart is a Chainsaw as well by Stephen Graham Jones. I've never read a Stephen Graham Jones. I know he's incredibly popular. I know a lot of people love his work. It's either this one or another one, but our main character really likes slasher films, so I know that is part of this book. I also picked up Sanctuary Bay by Laura J. Burns and Melinda Metz. Never heard this one, but it was sitting on the shelves. I read the summary, picked it up, thought it sounded good. We follow a young woman who has been bouncing around foster homes and gets the opportunity to attend a very nice prep school, and she's finally kind of making friends and getting accepted by her peers when her roommate goes missing, and it seems that no one cares, and she kind of gets involved with all that. So I thought that sounded really cool. Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. I picked this up being like, oh, it's a Ruth Ware book, I'll pick it up. I already have a copy of the Turn of the Key. I believe this is about a nanny who gets employed to work at this like kind of creepy vibe place, and she gets accused of like killing the kids, and it starts off with like her in prison like asking someone for help. I want to say that's this one. All of Ruth Ware's like books kind of like combine into one in my head, because I've only read one. I read The Death of Mrs. Westaway, and I thought that was fine. Yeah, all her plots kind of merge into one in the back of my head, and I believe this is the one where a nanny allegedly kills the kids. The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osmond. Very popular series, I want to say. We follow a group of friends who meet every week and discuss unsolved crimes, and I'm assuming that they are going to be involved in a crime, and they may solve it themselves. That's what I can assume. The Laughing Corpse by Laurel K. Hamilton. I believe this is the second book in the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series. I read the first one, thought it was okay because I listened to an audiobook. Maybe that wasn't the best way to start off the series, because there's like names and locations and information that I'm being introduced to in book one, but this is like your urban paranormal series with like a touch of romance. I hear that the series gets very romance heavy and less like crime heavy, and it becomes kind of like polyamorous at some point, which sounds, they make it sound like a bad thing. I'm interested, so I will pick this up soon. It's a mass market, it's very short. So honestly, I picked up the next two books because they have like the same title, City of Lies. Two different books, not related at all. City of Lies by Sam Hawke is a fantasy. I think it's a standalone, maybe. Our main character, Joven, is a master of potions and chemicals sworn to protect the Chancellor's family from treachery and assassination. But then the Chancellor gets poisoned, an army besieges the town, and Joven and his sister must protect the heir from enemies within and without. It seems like a political type of a fantasy book, and City of Lies maybe assumes that there's some like nefarious things going on in the city that our main character has probably devoted his entire self to. And then City of Lies, a Counterfeit Lady novel by Victoria Thompson. I think this is just like a mystery thriller set in the Victorian era. Elizabeth Miles assumes many roles. Unlike most, hers have made her a woman on the run. Living on the edge of society, Elizabeth uses her guile to relieve so-called respectable men of their ill-gotten gains. Come through. Okay, this is the first book in that series, I believe. I don't know if there's any like fantastical aspects to the series, maybe not. Maybe this is straight mystery thriller in a historical setting, which is fine. I love those as well. And I think City of Lies is the first book in this Counterfeit Lady novel series. I picked up Wild Country by Anne Bishop. This is one of the books in the world of the others. Her other series I really enjoyed. I really liked it. I have yet to continue it because I could only mostly get the audiobooks, and I really want to read them physically because I think I'd have so much more fun with them. I don't want to read the flap and maybe spoil myself for the others universe, but I picked them up because I do eventually want to read the entire works of the others and the world of the others. I only have 3 more books left. Rhapsody by Elizabeth Hayden. I don't know why I picked this up. It was small, mass market, cool, like old school type of cover. Rhapsody is a woman, a singer of some talent, who is swept into the events of world-shattering import. On the run from an old romantic interest who won't take no for an answer, Rhapsody literally bumps into a couple of shady characters, half-breeds who come to her rescue in the nick of time. Only the rescue turns into an abduction, and Rhapsody soon finds herself dragged along an epic voyage, one that spans centuries and ranges across a wonder-filled fantasy world, a world so real you can hear the sweet music of Rhapsody's obeyed and smell the smoldering forges deep within the cauldron. I don't know what that means. Listen, fantasy loves giving a vague synopsis, and this was first published in '99, so it's slightly older. It's not like random or anything. I have Song of Blood and Stone by Elle Penelope. This is the first book in the Earth Singer Chronicles. I've seen Elle Penelope before, like in other fantasy speculative spaces, so I thought I'd pick this up. I thought the cover was also really pretty. In this book we follow a woman who's kind of an exile and outcast in her own world because of her like gifts, her powers. I don't really know what they include at this moment, but her world is kind of like on the brink of war. Some soldiers kind of force themselves into her home, and they bring a captive with them, and she kind of falls in love with the captive. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and it says between love and duty lies destiny. Crazy. And then I found The Nature of a Pirate by A.M. Delamonica. I read the first book in the series and I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite, like, underhyped, I don't want to say it's like a hidden gem because this is from Tor, so it's not like it's a small publisher or anything, but I feel like I never really hear anyone talk about the series. I've never seen anyone talk about this series. I read the first book, loved it. It's called Child of a Hidden Sea, I want to say. I have not read the second book. This is the third book. I could not take it, knowing how much I love the first book. I will read the second book whenever I find it, whenever I get my hands on it, and then I have the third book waiting for me. I think that's great. So yeah, that is it. Those are all the books that I have collected in the past however long it's been since my last book haul. I think it's a nice collection, mostly fantasy as per usual, but some mystery stuff, which I also love. But yeah, I really don't know where to start with all these books. I have a lot of books. Thank you so much for watching. I'd like to hear anything you have to say in the comments down below. Have you read any of these books? Liked them? Disliked them? Say whatever you like down below. I will also link my social medias down below, as well as some far more important links. Feel free to like, dislike, comment, or subscribe, or do neither. It's all cool with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.